Hey Russell fam, in today's video we're going to talk about you decided to homeschool, now what? Be back in just a second. Hi, my name is Becky and this is Russell's Loving Life. If you are new to our channel, welcome. We are so glad you are here. Please consider subscribing and clicking that little bell notification down on the bottom. It lets you know every time we upload a video. We also have a blog, which is russellslovinglife.com. And if you're a returning Russell fam, we are so glad you are back. With everything that is going on in the world today, a lot of parents are starting to look more into homeschooling. Well, once you've decided to homeschool, now what? You don't know what to do from there. So here are 10 tips that I'm going to give you. They're going to point you in the right direction on what you need to do after you've made the decision to homeschool. Tip number 1 is you need to know your state's homeschool laws. It is legal to homeschool in all 50 states, but every state requires something different. Like in the state of Mississippi, where I am, all we are required to do is meet with our attendance officer once a year, sign the kids up that are in first grade all the way through 12th grade, which is age 6 to 18, and to let them know that they will be homeschooled, and that is all I am required to do in the state of Mississippi. Other states require a lot more. Some states even require a form of certification. That may be that you have to have a high school diploma or a GED before you can homeschool your child. So check out the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. I will leave a link down in the description box to their website. They list all 50 states' laws. Tip number 2 is if your child is currently enrolled in a public or private school, you have to formally withdraw them and tell the school that you plan to homeschool. Now, every state is different on that, so check with your public or private school and tell them that you wish to withdraw. Some you can email it in, some you have to send a handwritten note. So just check out what your state requires, but your child has to be formally withdrawn before you homeschool. Tip number 3 is find a curriculum. Now, I know that is the most overwhelming part of being a homeschooler, is picking your first homeschool curriculum. There are a lot of them out there and they are major sticker shock. You can spend as much money as you want or you can spend as little as you want. You can homeschool for free. There is a homeschool curriculum called Easy Peasy All-in-One. It is done online. Or I use My Father's World, which is an all-in-one curriculum. And I highly recommend, if you are a first-time homeschooler, that you use the all-in-one curriculum. Sunlight has one, My Father's World, Easy Peasy. There's several of them out there. With My Father's World, you are able to teach multiple grades all at one time for subjects like Bible, history, science, those type, and then you can break off and work independently on your language arts and your math. So with the all-in-one curriculum, it gives you everything you need for that year, and you can figure out what works best for your child, what works best for you. So that's why I always highly recommend the all-in-one curriculums as just a starting point. And if it doesn't work well for you, then you can figure out what works by picking different curriculums and talking to other homeschool parents. But I have been using My Father's World since Bailey was in kindergarten, and he will be in 6th grade in the fall. So we will be using My Father's World again. Tip number 4 is to find a support system. Now, with technology these days, that is not hard to find a homeschool group or homeschool support in your area, or just homeschool moms in general. That is why I started my YouTube channel and my blog to support and encourage veteran homeschool moms, new homeschool moms, and those who are thinking about homeschooling. Also check out my Instagram account, which is Russell's Loving Life as well. There are lots of other homeschool moms on there. Facebook has lots of homeschool groups. I know in our metro area there are several homeschool groups. We belong to one. We do holiday parties with them. There are co-ops that you can check into where if you're not good with one subject, say like I'm good with math and terrible at English. So in a co-op, I could teach math and another mom could teach English. So find you a support system. You are not alone in this homeschool journey, so never feel that way. Tip number 5 is to start the deschooling process. Now, I know you're thinking, deschooling, what does that mean? Well, if your child has ever been enrolled in a public or private school and you are going to homeschool them, there is going to be a transitional period which is called deschooling. That is where your child and you have to get used to the not so strict structure of a public or private school so you can focus on the more laid back homeschool. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a bumpy road. I'll leave a video up here in the iCard that explains to you more about deschooling, but just know that there is a process, a period that your child is going to go through, that it's going to be bumpy. So just give yourself some grace, give your child some grace, take some field trips, ease into it. Don't just jump into it, because if it's not fun for you, it's not fun for your child, then neither one of you are going to enjoy it. So the homeschool process will just not be fun. Tip number 6 is to find a homeschool routine that works well for you. Now, some parents do a homeschool schedule where they have a strict schedule. They homeschool from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock, or they homeschool for 4 hours. But with us, we have more of a routine that we do every day. It's not at the exact same time, but the routine looks the same. We get up, we eat breakfast, I do one-on-one work with Becca, then we do our group work, our family work, our science, our history, our Bible. And then after that, then I work one-on-one with Bailey, and then he works independently on his stuff. And then while he's working independently, I'm usually cleaning the kitchen, doing some chores, something like that. So that is how our daily routine looks. But my routine may not work for you. So find a routine that works well for your family. Tip number 7 is take breaks when needed. Now, I know this sounds funny. I know it sounds crazy. You're like, really? I just started homeschooling and you're telling me to take breaks. I don't mean take a 2-week break. I don't mean take a week break. But take breaks when needed. If your child is frustrated and aggravated and you get frustrated and aggravated, they're not going to learn anything. So take a 5-minute break. Take a 10-minute break. Some homeschools families have found that having school for 6 weeks and then taking a week off and then having school for 6 weeks and taking a week off works well for them. So take breaks when you need them. You don't have to sit there and just sit at the table and pound through all of the boring curriculum stuff. Take a break and go outside and have a nature walk. Just take breaks. Tip number 8 is do not overload your day. That means homeschool work, errands, chores that you need to do around the house. Do not overload yourself. That will totally stress you out. And if you're stressed out, your kids are going to get stressed out. So just kind of ease into it. If you see that you have a busy day, like you have somewhere you have to go, errands you have to run, then you may have to back off the homeschool stuff just a little bit that day and then move it to the next day. So be flexible and don't overload yourself and your child, because that makes the day horrible for everybody. Tip number 9 is do not compare yourself, your child, or your homeschool to another homeschool family. Every homeschool looks different, so your homeschool is not going to look like somebody else's. Every child learns different, you teach different. Ask questions of other homeschool moms. Ask what works for them, what didn't work for them, and you can try it. It may work for you, it may not, but never compare yourself. So there's a difference in asking questions about what works and comparing yourself. So never do that. And finally, tip number 10 is to make time for yourself. I know that sounds crazy, but you've got to do it. You are around your kids all the time. If you're like me, you love being around your kids, but sometimes you just need that little 5-minute break where you just have to take some deep breaths and just focus on yourself. So if you're overwhelmed, just go take that 5 minutes that you need for yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of your children. So that is my final homeschool tip, is to always make time for yourself. It may be first thing in the morning, it may be when the kids are taking naps, it may be right before you go to bed at night. But do something that you enjoy. Read a book, watch a show, read your Bible, whatever you enjoy doing, but find time for yourself. I hope this video has helped point you in the right direction. I hope it has given you tips that you need since you have decided to homeschool. That can be the most overwhelming feeling, is you've made that decision and you're like, okay, now what? What do I do next? There's so much I need to do. Well, take it a little bit at a time. If you look at the whole big picture, you are going to get overwhelmed. So start with, okay, I've decided to homeschool. Now I know I need to find out my state laws. I've got to withdraw my child from public or private school. So take it by steps at a time. Don't think of everything you have to do. I'm a list person, so I write down everything that I need to do, and when I finish one task, I check it off or scratch it out, whatever I need to do. But that helps me not be so overwhelmed. And my first year of homeschooling, I was there. I was overwhelmed. So that's why I make these videos. I try to support and encourage other homeschool parents with things that I have learned over the years. I am no expert by any means. I have been a homeschooling mom since 2012, but I have learned what works for our family, and I learned that through trial and error and talking to other homeschool parents, seeing what worked for them, seeing what didn't work for them. So just take it a step at a time. And always remember to be kind, be careful, be considerate. Have a great day. Bye.